Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to discuss the American Express Centurion Lounge. Now I'm someone who absolutely loves traveling. Whenever I get a couple of free days, I'll just hop onto a plane and go explore a new destination. In the last month, I visited Seattle, San Fran, and Las Vegas. Now when returning home from these three locations, I stopped in the Centurion Lounge at those airports. And I also stopped in the Centurion Lounge at my home airport of LAX when traveling to these locations. In this video, I want to help you understand what you should be expecting when visiting the Centurion Lounge, some information to let you know exactly where they are located, also a comparison of the different Centurion Lounges on the west coast of the US, and then help you understand how much value you can also end up getting when you actually end up visiting the Centurion Lounge. Now first, let's go over what the Centurion Lounge actually is. Well, Centurion Lounge is going to be an airport lounge that's connected with American Express. Now there are currently 13 that are domestic and 11 that are international. These are all going to be at major cities with airports that have massive traffic. The Centurion Lounges in America are located in Charlotte, Dallas, Fort Worth, Denver, Houston, Las Vegas, Los Angeles, Miami, New York LaGuardia, and also JFK, Philadelphia, Phoenix, SFO, and Seattle. International lounges are going to be in Hong Kong, London, Stockholm, Mumbai, Delhi, Buenos Aires, Sao Paulo, Melbourne, Mexico City, Monterrey, and Sydney, Australia. So what should you expect when visiting an American Express Centurion Lounge? Well, what you're going to end up getting when you access one of these lounges is going to be a comfortable place to sit, along with unlimited free food, drinks, including alcoholic drinks, at no additional charge to you. There's also going to be a space for families, many desks if you wish to work, showers, and even more benefits depending on which lounge you end up going to. For instance, the one at LAX actually has a spa area where if you're looking to get yourself a massage, you can actually end up doing a 15-minute massage at the LAX Centurion Lounge. And there's also going to be a little area if you wish to actually get some rest. You can actually sleep inside the lounge if that's what you desire before your departure. So how do you access these lounges? Well, the way you do that is you're going to need one of the American Express cards that actually gives you access to these lounges. And the list is going to end up being the American Express Platinum Card, the American Express Business Platinum Card, the American Express Corporate Platinum Card, the Delta Sky Reserve Card, the Delta Business Sky Reserve Card, and also the American Express Black Card. Now, if you wish to bring a guest in with you who doesn't happen to have one of these cards, you can do that for a fee of either $50, or if you happen to spend $75,000 with one of your American Express Platinum cards, you'll get yourself access to free guests. Now, once you end up getting yourself one of these cards to access the Centurion Lounge, when you actually end up entering and going to the front desk, what they're going to ask you for is going to be your ID, the card to actually get into the lounge, and they're also going to ask you for your boarding pass. And your boarding pass has to be same day, along with also being 3 hours or less before the departure. So you can't show up at 9 a.m. and have a 10 p.m. departure and expect to be able to have access to the Centurion Lounge the entire day. If you happen to have a 10 p.m. departure, you can show up to the Centurion Lounge at 7 p.m. and be able to access the lounge for a few hours before you end up taking off. So now that you know what the Centurion Lounge is and how to access them, I'm going to show you 4 different ones on the West Coast to help you better understand what to expect when actually visiting one. Now the San Fran Centurion Lounge is going to be located at Terminal 3. You're going to notice it as it has that signature Centurion Lounge look where it has like those bushes, and you're going to be able to either go up the stairs or go up the elevator. Now I think this one's actually really nice looking. Definitely one of the better looking ones when we actually end up going to the lounge itself. You're actually gonna be able to look down and look over all the different people who are like entering into the airport. And when it comes to food options, the cool thing about this one is that there actually is multiple places you can end up getting food. So they have the greens here along with the rice and the roasted chicken, which is actually quite good. But also after you end up looking at the desserts that's on the other side, there's going to be a hallway you get to walk down that has the bathroom on the side. But as you walk straight down here where you end up seeing the bar straight ahead, there's actually also going to be another place to get yourself food that's going to have different options, which I thought was pretty awesome. So that ends up being great. And then also behind the bar that is actually right here, there's going to be a whole nother area for people to be able to sit. So it ends up being quite a large spot for people to be able to go to. Now you're actually going to see here at the Centurion Lounge, there's going to be a spot that is reserved. I believe this ends up being for like black card holders, so they don't want to have any black card holders who may end up coming in and not end up having a seat. But there definitely is a lot of space here. Now for over here, the options for the food end up being chicken wings, and they also had different breads along with like some pita bread and also some hummus. And they have different drinks, so if you're looking for things that are outside of alcoholic drinks, you can get those as well. So I decided to first get myself some of the chicken wings, and the chicken wings were actually quite good. They also had some deli meat as well to connect with it. Now, if you actually want to add food, you don't bring up the same plate at the Centurion Lounges. What they actually want you to do is get yourself another plate. So I got myself another plate and got myself some pita bread along with some hummus, some cheese, and then also some deli meats. I always like to grab myself a mimosa when at these Centurion lounges, and as I said earlier, the drinks and the food, even the alcoholic drinks, are free. Now, one of the things that I absolutely love about these Centurion lounges is just how much space you actually end up having. We all been at the airport before where we come early where we either can't find a seat or we have a really tight seat. Look at all the space I have here just for me as I'm waiting to depart. Now, this day when I was actually departing San Fran, the only meal that I had before getting to the lounge was breakfast. I am a Hyatt globalist, so I was able to get myself free breakfast at the Hyatt Centric that I was at. But by the time I arrived to the Centurion Lounge, I was quite hungry, so I went out for another meal, tried out the roasted chicken along with some rice, and also had myself a margarita. And this is the beautiful thing about these lounges and why you should take advantage of them, because all of this food that I'm having here is going to be what I get for having an American Express Platinum card. So definitely take advantage of it if you are a cardholder member. And also at the SFO Centurion Lounge, they actually have a wine bar. Now, you get yourself a free tasting of the wine, but you do actually have to pay for a bottle if you want it. Now, this is Northern California, and a lot of people do actually like to travel over here who are wine connoisseurs. So if you are someone who's really big into wine, you can actually taste some of these Northern Cali wines. And also, if you want to, you can end up buying one of these bottles and take with you back home. Now, the next lounge we're gonna look at is gonna be my home airport one. This is gonna be the one at LAX. The way you access this is by going to the Tom Bradley International section. You actually don't need to be flying internationally to get in here. All you have to do is go through security, and then to your left, you'll immediately be able to see the American Express Centurion Lounge. You take the elevator downstairs and it'll bring you directly to the lounge. Now, I was here during the morning, so they had breakfast options, and I wanted you to just be able to see all the different types of food that they will end up offering you. So we had bacon, sausage, potatoes, end up being French toast, eggs. They have this avocado toast that is really, really tasty. There also ends up being all these different pastries if you're looking for something that's sweet, and hard-boiled eggs. So it's just a lot of good food options you can end up getting at this lounge. And there ends up being a nice bar over here. We can get yourself some drinks. Now, opposite of the bar, there actually ends up being this space that if you want to, you could end up sitting. Usually I actually see a decent amount of people in here, but for some reason this morning, I guess because it was the morning, there wasn't that many people who were sitting in here. But there is a lot of space at the Centurion Lounge. Now, here is gonna be showers if you want to access that, along with the bathroom. And then also all these different art you're gonna end up seeing. Most of the art you'll actually end up seeing in any of these lounges is gonna be pretty much about the area that you end up being in. And one thing to know about this lounge, if you happen to be flying either out of the international terminal or out of terminals 4 through 8, then this lounge is easily accessible just by walking. But if you happen to be going 1 through 3, I'm pretty sure you actually have to leave the airport to come back in. So just know that if you happen to be flying either with Delta or any one of the airlines that are flying out of a 1 through 3 terminal. Now, there ends up also being a wine bar back here as well, but I never really see it end up being open that often. So usually most people end up just using the bar at the front. Now, as you walk towards the back, there's gonna be more places to sit, but there's also gonna be this family area. So if you happen to have children with you, there is gonna be a space you can end up bringing your kids to. And then also gonna end up being the sleeping area back here as well. Now, I did quickly kind of leave because there actually was a couple people sleeping on with someone quietly on their phone. I didn't want to bother, but just know that if that happens to be something that you want to do before leaving, this ends up being a nice place you can relax. Now, here's my meal. I had some of the potatoes, the French toast, the sausage, the bacon, the eggs, and also some of the fruit. The great thing about these meals, again, is that this doesn't cost you any additional money. So if you are one of the cardholder members, you should just take advantage of this, because if you end up looking at something like this, if you end up being at like a hotel, it's probably end up costing you somewhere near like $20 to $30. Next, we're gonna look at the Centurion Lounge in Las Vegas. Now, usually this actually ends up being quite a busy airport lounge. I like how you get to look at the airplanes as people end up boarding them. That actually ends up being pretty cool, but this lounge pretty much just wraps around. As one thing you'll actually end up noticing is a lot of the furniture in this lounge ends up being the same as in the other lounges, so it is quite uniform throughout the lounges. One thing that I really like about this one is the areas on the left, if you actually end up looking at them, where you end up getting all that extra space to be able to sit down. You end up having yourself a little seat. So I usually try to get one of those if I can, but unfortunately they were all taken. As you see right here, more reserved areas. I'm assuming maybe for black card holders or maybe someone who called before and asked to reserve it. But as you actually see over here, this is where we're going to end up seeing the bar. It's a little bit smaller bars compared to the other ones. And then they end up having the food. Now this ended up being at nighttime, so this ended up being dinner that they had. Now to access this Centurion Lounge, it's actually going to be right across from gate D1. So if you happen to be flying with United, it's very easy to get to. But if you happen to actually be flying with the other airlines, you can just take the tram that's actually connected inside of the airport and you can easily get to it. So this one actually isn't hard to access from the other major airlines. And here's the meal. I end up getting some roasted chicken along with pasta and a mimosa. Again, no additional cost for any of this. The beautiful thing is just if you happen to be someone who likes to get to the airport early, to not have to worry about your flight, you get to just sit here, relax, eat and drink all you want, and then just be prepared to take off to go back home. Lastly, we're gonna look at the Centurion Lounge out in Seattle. Now, this one's gonna be near Terminal 1, right next to the food court. It's pretty easy to spot because you're gonna notice the elevator and then also the signature Centurion writing up there. And then when you actually end up going up the elevator, you're gonna be at the new renovated Centurion Lounge. Now, this thing used to be a lot smaller, but they redid it and it actually looks quite beautiful. You get to overlook people at the food court if you want. And then there also ends up being this nice bar over here and also a coffee bar if that's what you're into. And someone actually down below was playing music that was really, really beautiful. Now, if you don't want to have to hear it, you can go inside of the other spot that ends up being way more quiet. But I thought it was really nice and lovely to listen to. But yeah, I just think this lounge ended up being a really cool place to just people watch and also relax. Now in the back, there's gonna be many places to sit, but the beautiful thing about this one is you actually get to watch the planes as they're moving around before takeoff and landing. So that actually ends up being pretty awesome if you happen to be someone who likes to plane watch. I think this ends up being really relaxing and a nice place to be at. Honestly, I just love the inside of this one. Unfortunately, when I was here, there was an issue with one of my flights getting delayed, so I didn't end up getting a ton of footage here, and I ended up being a little bit more stressed out trying to reschedule one of my flights. But as a whole, I just thought this lounge ended up being really beautiful, and the way it was set up and done, I think that they did a great job with the Seattle Centurion Lounge. Hopefully, if you're someone who's new to American Express, that gave you a better understanding of what to expect at the Centurion Lounge. I absolutely love taking advantage of the Centurion Lounge because they help me save a lot of money and also be incredibly relaxing before my takeoff. Airport food can end up being quite expensive, so if you can frequently take advantage of the Centurion Lounge when you're actually at the airport, you can end up saving yourself a ton of money. Now, I know that there are many people who think to themselves that I don't want to actually even access any of these lounges. I just want to go to the airport, go through security, and then go directly to my gate. And I completely understand that. I'm someone who happens to have TSA PreCheck and clear, and I love to just speed past security and go right over to the plane. But even if this is what you intend to do, there's gonna be many instances where this ends up not even being the case. Say, for instance, you happen to go through airport security, you go right over to your gate, and ends up being a delay for a couple hours for your flight. Or if you happen to have a connection, or if you're someone like myself who when actually I go to a new airport, I like to show up early just to make sure that everything ends up going accordingly when I'm actually trying to travel back home, because I understand how my home airport works out really well, but when I actually go to a new airport, there's many instances where I end up getting either lost or something ends up happening where I don't end up getting dropped off at the right place. So I just like to be early just to make sure that everything works out accordingly. But one of the best things about it is just having it as an option. You may want to go to the airport and then just immediately take off, but just knowing that you actually have the option to go get yourself some food and drinks, that's not gonna be any additional cost, and also a comfortable place to sit before your takeoff, it ends up being an awesome luxury to have. And if you happen to be someone who travels a lot, the more that you access these lounges, the more you can end up justifying the high annual fees that are connected with the cards that you actually end up needing to enter the Centurion Lounge. Trust me, once you end up accessing the Centurion Lounge, it's gonna elevate your travel experience so much, and this is gonna end up being a luxury that you're not gonna wanna give up. Getting to the destination is what we all seek, but having access to the Centurion Lounge is gonna make your travel experience that much better. But let me know in the comment section down below, are you someone who happens to have an American Express Platinum card or any one of the cards that is needed to enter the Centurion Lounge? And what is your thought about Centurion Lounges? Now, if you happen to be someone who's interested in getting access to one of the Centurion Lounges, I will have referral links to one of the American Express cards that'll give you access to it. And if you decide to use my referral link, it will really help out the channel, and I'll be incredibly thankful for your support. And if you happen to really like this video, then please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share this video, and have a beautiful rest of your day. Peace.